All right, welcome back to the channel. So, yeah, we're back on it. Tyson Fury and these dang gloves. But this time we're going to talk about an article that came out of a boxing magazine or boxing website, which I usually do like, World Boxing News, that gave an excuse, not an excuse, but tried to rationalize Tyson Fury's unexplained power in the last fight with Deontay Wilder based on on the fact that Deontay Wilder was knocked down one time 10 years ago. So let's talk about what that is, what they were talking about, and why they're talking about it in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So this is going to be a fun one because, there's not a lot going on in boxing, but one of the biggest things that is actually going on in boxing is that Tyson Fury got caught with loaded gloves in Deontay Wilder's third fight. You're not going to hear about it a lot by the mainstream media, but you will hear a lot about it in boxing conversations that go on with normal hardcore boxing fans about this glove situation. Now, one of the interesting things that you'll notice is that, yes, you will not hear about it, the actual glove issue from mainstream media. But what you will hear is people from Tyson Fury's camp addressing the fact that he got busted with these loaded gloves. I mean, I can't even play. All right, I'm not going to call it controversial. I'm not going to call it any of that. The guy, there's literally a picture with this guy's knuckles hitting Deontay Wilder where you can see his index finger, his middle finger, his ring finger, and his pinky. And dude, if the guy had an extra thick tattoo on one of his fingers, that might have popped through as well. It's just that obvious that there was no padding in the glove, right? So one of the reasons that one of the things that people say is, yeah, well, that's why Tyson Fury was able to hurt Deontay Wilder, because he's 6'9", 300 pounds, and he doesn't have any padding in his gloves. Shoot, it might be good enough even if you weren't that big with gloves, with no padding on your gloves, that you could hurt somebody, right? So since they can't actually argue about the picture, because the picture it's not photoshopped. The photographer who took it tells people it's not photoshopped. Anybody that knows anything or has ever tried to Photoshop something before in their life will tell you that's not photoshopped, or either that or you've got whoever did that needs to be doing that shit full time for major money, because it was that good. But anyway, they don't want to address that directly. So what they do is, you'll see things like BT Sports will put out a 15-second clip of JD's watching Tyson Fury's hands get wrapped, right? Now, mind you that the issue isn't with the hand wraps. The issues, as far as what I can see, is the glove, right? So watching somebody wrap hands doesn't tell you anything about whether or not padding is in the gloves or not. All that tells you is that he watched his hands get wrapped. Doesn't mean that there was padding in the gloves, right? So that is an example of somebody, right, on Tyson Fury's team, right, BT Sports, who airs his fights in the UK, putting some random information out there to try to help people dispel not the accusations, dispel the observations that Tyson Fury didn't have any padding in his glove, right? So that's one example of it. So this one that we're going to talk about now is it's an absolutely hilarious one. I went to World Boxing News and it was like the title of the article. I should actually pull this up in the middle of doing this, man, and read you the title of this. Hold on one second, man. You guys have to stick with me on this one, dude, because I'm not about to edit this out. But I do. The name of the article is Deontay Wilder was dropped before Tyson Fury. Video footage questioned. So they're wondering, why is there no tape of this? right? So like first they say Deontay Wilder was knocked down before Tyson Fury, right? Now this fight that they're talking about is against a guy named Harold Sconiers, and the fight took place October 15th, 2010. Now, why is it possible that fight, and Deontay Wilder at the time had a record of 12-0, fighting a guy whose record was at the time like 18-27, right? So he's early on in his career. Now, this is Deontay Wilder, who did not have an extensive background in the amateurs, right? Pretty much picked up, put his gloves on, went out, tried out for the Olympic team, made it, got an Olympic bronze medal, then turned pro. This is in his, and I do believe this is in, if it's his 12th fight, it's probably in his second year. It's probably in his first or second year as a pro, because I do believe he was in the 2008 Olympics, right? So in his first year in a pro, he gets dropped by a guy, Harold Schoner, 10 years ago. And they say, well, why? Where's all the video evidence? Where's the video evidence? Dude, why would somebody, Deontay Wilder, who's not recruited, right, was not heavily recruited by anybody, fighting well underneath some undercard, why would you expect to have Deontay Wilder, the footage of Deontay Wilder's 12th fight there? And if somebody was going to scrub the internet to get rid of it so that they would not ruin Deontay Wilder's reputation. Man, get out of here, dude. He knocked the dude down 4 times and wound up knocking the guy out in a 6-round fight, man. But why would they go through this? Clearly, the reason that they go through this is so that they can say, well, Deontay Wilder doesn't really have a chin. Right? That's like the only reason that you could possibly bring this up, is to try to communicate the fact that Deontay Wilder really doesn't have a chin, right? And since he doesn't have a chin, then Tyson Fury's gloves don't need to be loaded to hurt him, because it wasn't that Tyson Fury all of a sudden created some great amount of power that he didn't have before. It was because Deontay Wilder really never had a chin, right? Like, dude, are you kidding me? Getting knocked down one time in 40 fights, in 42 fights, is not somebody that has a chin problem, okay? Lennox Lewis, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, didn't just get knocked down twice, he got knocked out twice. Muhammad Ali, who has one of the best chins in the history of boxing, and having proven that against guys like George Foreman, guys like Ernie Shavers, guys like Sonny Liston, taking shots, clean shots from punchers like that, got knocked down by lesser men. like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What in the world do you expect that to prove? See, this tells you exactly how desperate these guys are to try to get rid of this subject. They also bring up things like, well, the Nevada State Athletic Commission is not going to file any charges. The World Boxing Council will not be furthering any action. And so what? That does not magically make padding show back up in Tyson Fury's glove. All that means is that they either missed it or they were in on it. And I don't care which one it is. I'm not going to try to go out of my way to prove that the WBC was in on it. I'm not going to try to go out of my way to try to prove that the Nevada State Athletic Commission was in on it, or JD's was in on it, or justify Deontay Wilder getting knocked down 10 years ago, or any of this other nonsense, right? Because all I need to see is this guy's hand in a glove with no padding in between his knuckles and the top of the glove. That's the only thing that I need to see. That's the only thing that I need to know. And all of the other conversations are nothing but distractions from that point, either one way or another. If there are people that believe that that the WBC was in on it and they don't like Deontay Wilder for one reason or another, and that's why they have one of those Paffin gloves had a WBC certification inside of the glove. Fine, but they may or may not have been into it. I don't know. I have not seen enough. I've not seen enough to say whether that is the truth or whether it's not. However, it does distract from the point that, dude, I see your knuckles. So these dudes are they are trying as hard as they possibly can to trying to make it look as if, Tyson Fury didn't do anything illegal, which we know that he did. They're trying even more they're trying to tear down Deontay Wilder based on something. Dude, Tyson Fury got dropped by a cruiserweight. Steve Cunningham. And Steve Cunningham had less fights at heavyweight, than this guy Cormier did, because before he even fought Deontay Wilder, this guy had been in the ring with guys like Donovan Razor Ruddock. He'd been in there with Clifford Etienne. He's been in there with Cedric Boswell, Andre Fedosov. Bermain Stervern. All of these guys have Deontay Wilder. He was even in there against Andre Perlet. See, dude was 40-3. This guy was somebody that had, even though he wasn't the best fighter in the world, he had a lot of experience with world champions, former world champions, guys that were, title contenders. He was somebody that had been in the ring with a lot of very highly skilled fighters. So, and guys that I think is fair enough to say are probably technically more skilled than Deontay Wilder is. So to get a really rough Deontay Wilder after you have already been in fights and gone the distance with guys like Donovan Razor Ruddock. I think he went the distance with Donovan Razor Ruddock. No, yeah, he lost on a split decision to Donovan Razor Ruddock. So the fact that he's already been up there and fought a guy like Donovan Razor Ruddock, and now he's coming in there with a rookie guy like Deontay Wilder, who's still rough. The fact that he got a punch off and knocked him down in the heavyweight division, so what? Anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. With that, I'm out.